Zhuangzi's Fables and Their Wisdom. Module 4, On Pursuit. Lesson 2, Emphasizing the Soul. Fable 1, Piglets Feeding on Dead Mother's Milk.
Body and soul, which is more important? Which governs the other? We will discuss these two questions in this lesson. In the first fable, Confucius had a talk with Duke Ai of Lu about some piglets feeding on their dead mother's milk. It all happened when Confucius was on a mission in the state of Chu.
I know, I means sadness. So why is he named Duke Sadness of Lu?
Duke Ai was the hereditary ruler of the state of Lu, but had little actual power because it was concentrated in the hands of the three families. So, the Duke attempted to restore the primacy of his family, but was forced to flee from Lu. Later, when he did go back to Lu, he was never able to return to the court. Duke Sadness of Lu is his posthumous name. His original name was Zhijiang.
I see. So, what did Confucius and this Duke Ai of Lu talk about?
I remember when I was in the state of Chu. Having completed my mission, I was able to spend some time enjoying the beautiful scenery of this southern state. When passing through a village, I saw some piglets snuggling up to their mother for milk. But all of a sudden, their mother died without warning. At first, the piglets were not aware of their mother's death and sucked happily. After a while, when they noticed that their mother no longer looked at them or responded to them, they realized that their mother was dead. So, they were all frightened and ran away.
What's going on? The mother pig was still the mother pig. Nothing changed.
The body was the same, but her soul was dead, and she had no thoughts, no feelings, and she could no longer respond to the piglets. What the piglets loved was not their mother's body, but what gave life to the body. When a soldier dies in battle, his friends will bury him without a coffin. A man without feet will not care whether he wears shoes or not, because the coffin and the shoes are just like the dead body of the mother pig, which bears no significance.
Many Western scholars believe that Western thinking is a dualistic in nature, while in contrast, the Chinese thinking is holistic. It lacked a concept of mind-body dualism. I think that's because they haven't read Zhuangzi. From this story, it is obvious that Zhuangzi put forward very clearly the dualistic concept of body and soul. He further points out that compared to the body, our souls are always more important. Body is like a shell, a container. A strong body can protect your soul, but it's one soul and one spirit that makes him who he is. This concept reminds me of the saying, "There are too many beautiful faces, but too few interesting souls." Do you agree with this? Fable 2, Only One Confucian in Lu.
The other day, I went to see Duke Ai of Lu. He boasted that in the state of Lu, which is the homeland of Confucius, there were a lot of Confucian scholars, but very few Taoist scholars.
Are there really so many Confucian scholars?
Obviously not, so I thought of an idea to help him find out the truth.
We have many Confucian scholars, but very few Taoist scholars here in my state.
Confucian scholars are rare to see.
Most of the people in my state wear the Confucian dress. Why do you say Confucian scholars are rare to see?
I have heard that Confucian scholars who wear round hats have knowledge of the sky, and Confucian scholars who wear square shoes have knowledge of the earth. Those who wear jade ornaments in their belts are decisive. The truth is that a real Confucian scholar does not necessarily wear a Confucian dress, and people who dress like Confucians may not be true Confucian scholars.
Sounds reasonable. Then how can I find out who is a true Confucian scholar?
If you want to find out, I have an idea.
Tell me about it.
All you have to do is to issue an order to everyone in your state saying, "He who wears a Confucian dress, who is not a learned Confucian, will be executed."
That's a good idea. Have my order reach everyone in my state. The Confucian dress can only be worn by real Confucians. Impostors shall be executed.
Within 5 days, in the whole state, no one was left in Confucian dress except for one old man. He stood at the palace gate waiting to be called in by Duke Ai. When Duke Ai summoned him and asked him questions about state affairs, he talked in the way a real learned Confucian did and came up with a lot of good suggestions.
Ha! There's only one real Confucian in the state of Lu.
Duke Ai of Lu is proud that as home of Confucius, so many people in his state wear the Confucian dress. But once they were told that they had to either prove it or face death, all of them discarded their Confucian dress except one. The fact shows that dressing like a Confucian doesn't mean the person is a real Confucian, or a real Confucian does not need to wear a Confucian dress to prove himself. What matters is the thought, not the dress. This fable can be very inspirational even in today's society. For example, what kind of person is a real patriot? Is it someone who says, "I love my country" all the time, but doesn't even know the history of his own country? Or is it someone who lives abroad, but will return when his motherland needs him? After reading this fable, I'm sure you will have a deeper understanding. Fable 3. Forget the Chuan after catching the fish.
Where did you get the fish?
I caught the fish in the creek just outside our village, using a bamboo fish tackle, Quan.
I can see the fish, but where is your fish tackle?
Oh, I must have left it somewhere.
So you left your fish tackle after you caught some fish?
Yes. When I caught the fish, I was so happy, I simply forgot my Quan.
What you did reminds me of something really interesting. You discarded the chuan after catching the fish, because what you really wanted was the fish, not the chuan. The chuan is but a way to get the fish.
Yes, master.
I know a hunter who made some traps to catch hares. When he got the hares, he forgot his traps, just like you did.
So, I'm not the only one.
When we are talking in language, we do so in order to get our ideas across. Once you've got my ideas, can you still remember exactly what I've just said?
Well, master, I can remember what you mean, but I cannot repeat exactly what you have said.
That's because language is used to convey ideas. The idea is the goal. The language is just a means. But language is still useful in that even if I find a wise man with rich ideas, how can I talk to him without language?
Here Zhuangzi is talking about the relationship between the tool and the purpose. For him, language is but a tool. The idea is undoubtedly the purpose. So is the relationship between body and soul. The body is the container, the soul is the content. Have you watched the movie Face Off with Nicolas Cage in it? An FBI agent, played by Nicolas Cage, undergoes a facial transplant surgery and assumes the identity and physical appearance of a terrorist to foil a terrorist plan. So who do you think he really is? The terrorist or the FBI agent? It's the same with language. The body is the container to hold the soul, as language is the tool to communicate ideas. It's the ideas that matter. Chinese or English, there is no difference in essence. So we can't say one language is better than the other one. Zhuangzi is among the earliest philosophers who tried to analyze the relationship between language and ideas. In another story, Zhuangzi stood on a mountain and said, if we call the sky horse at the very beginning, or the earth finger, then the sky would be horse and the earth would be finger. From these remarks, we can conclude that Zhuangzi believes that language can be very random at the beginning. Last but not least, I wanted to remind you that with the change of language, the idiom left the chuan after catching the fish has acquired a new meaning. You are being ungrateful. You forgot those who have helped you. So nowadays, when you hear someone say, he left the chuan after catching the fish, it doesn't mean that he's got the important thing. Instead, the speaker is blaming him for not being grateful.